An inmate at the
Yep.
Indiana Department of Corrections.
Hey guys,
Correctional
it's Robert here
Facility.
from Timeless
To
Mysteries.
accept this call, press 0.
Got a pretty good
To
show
refuse this
today. I've
call,
got
hang
Andrew
up
from
or
the
press
Unforbidden
1.
Truth
To prevent calls from this, your current
podcast.
balance is $4.50.
I know I didn't
This
actually
call is from a correctional
announce
facility
this
and
live
is subject to
in
monitoring
advance.
and recording. Thank you for using GTL.
Hello?
Hey,
Hey, what's up? Not much. So yeah, I can hear you. So I'm on the phone with Robert here. Do you remember talking to him a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I told him that I'm going to let him do most of the talking because I'm sick right now, so I don't want to come off too shitty. But yeah, I'll let him take over from here.
Well, you're sick and I'm kind of drunk, so that makes about equal. Hell no.
hey, Jonathan, how's it going?
I know, just sitting here drinking a little bit of wine. How about you?
I just got home from work, same old kind of stuff. So, we're live on Timeless Mysteries. I didn't actually announce this ahead of time, so I've got a couple of people watching. Nobody's in the chat yet, but I just wanted to kind of introduce you to everyone. Hopefully they'll catch the live after we're done and stuff. If you could just tell me your basic story, where you are right now, how you got there, that kind of thing.
All right. So basically, my name is Jonathan Storm Cruz. I was locked up in 2016, accused of going on a killing spree inspired by the Purge movie. But that's not what happened. Honestly, I was just on a robbing spree, and some of the men that I robbed was not cooperating, so I got on some bullshit and shot them. So right now I'm locked up in Indiana Reformatory Prison, Pendleton, and yeah, I think that basically describes it.
So how old were you whenever this happened?
I was only 19 years old. I was still a teenager. I got locked up in Florida in prison when I was 14. Got out when I was 18, and I was only out a year and a half before I got locked back up on these multiple murder charges and multiple armed robbery charges. So since I was 14, I've only been out a year and a half.
Wow. So when you were, robbing these people, what was kind of going through your mind after, during the, well, I guess we should talk about the title. I looked you up, and, you do come up as the Purge Killer. And I think that's kind of an interesting name. I have watched the movie. I don't know where people come up with names like this, but like you just said, you didn't intend for it to happen the way it did. It sounds like, but I mean, when you were committing those robberies and they started going, differently than I guess how you probably envisioned it. What was going through your mind at the time?
Well, at the exact time that I would say the first two murders that they accused me of started, I had just got shot. I just got kicked out of my house. I just got robbed for all the drugs and money that I was selling. And my mom just overdosed off heroin, and I had to bring her back to life. So in that time frame, I was just angry as fuck, honestly. And I wasn't robbing people. I was only robbing men. I refused to rob women or children or old people. So I was robbing men that were in my lifestyle. Like the Hispanic man that I robbed and killed, he was out looking for an underage prostitute to have sex with. The black man I robbed and killed, he was a gangster disciple, gang member that just got out of prison. The white man that I robbed and killed, he had just committed an armed robbery on an old white lady and robbed her for like $1,300. So when I robbed him, he was not trying to give us that money, which is why I had to shoot him. So honestly, what was going through my mind is I was angry and I was looking for the littlest reason to be angry. And these three men gave me reasons. The crazy part about it is I tried to confess to 22 armed robberies and home evasions, and they were not interested in that at all. They were only interested in murders. They didn't care about home invasions or robberies. One of my people on the street knew where a dead body was buried and tried to give up that information, and they didn't care about that. They only cared about what I did. They didn't care about missing people. They didn't care about home invasions, armed robberies. They didn't care about none of that shit. They just cared about getting their conviction rate for a murder. So, honestly, I was 19 years old, and I was a gang member, and I was out there gang banging every day, robbing every day, selling heroin and meth every day. And I was just in a messed up point in my life. And like plenty rap songs, I used the word purge. Not literally meaning the Purge movie, but just the word as in basically I will do anything I want that doesn't follow the law, you know? It's not like I was out there hunting down homeless people to kill or some shit like that. I was just using that word. I honestly don't even remember using that word, but in my text messages 3 months before the first homicide, I used that word. I guess I don't know if I was drunk or high or what, but I don't remember. I don't know what that has to do because that was 3 months before the first homicide, so I don't even know how they connected that word to that. But they connected that, and because I'm Puerto Rican and white, but my skin's white, so they assumed I was a European male, and in the city of Indianapolis, the only real gang members they had were black. So they didn't see me as a gang member. They see me as a serial killer. And so they gave me the name Purge Killer, which makes no sense to me, but that's what they called me. But honestly, I've been locked up since 2016, and I've been watching the news this whole time. And I kind of think it's maybe a good idea, honestly.
What do you mean? To do the purge?
Yes, but not completely like in the movies. In the movies, they have no rules. Sex offenses, killing the children, elderly people, women, that's all allowed. If I was going to purge, I wouldn't purge on minorities or poor people or homeless people or religious minorities or any of that. Like what Donald Trump is doing right now, he's going on a purge. He sent soldiers to go purge Iran during the holy, peaceful month of Ramadan. What Luigi Mangione did by killing that healthcare CEO, that was the purge. He purged somebody that benefits and grows wealthy off of the back of poor and diseased people. So he went and purged that man that is doing shit like that. So, I mean, all these instances is a type of purge. So if I was actually to go on a purge, it wouldn't be somebody that didn't deserve it. It would be somebody that did deserve it. And that's since I've been accused of purging over the last several years. I've been locked up, and I've been watching the news and seeing all the bullshit in the world. I've been studying all the prophets and Christianity, Judaism, Islam. And honestly, this world is messed up. I think it maybe needs some type of cleansing.
Yeah, I am familiar with the movie, though I personally, I just got to put this out there for YouTube. I don't condone violence of any kind. Maybe self-defense. And I'm not trying to like, I don't want to offend you or anything either, but I just wanted to put that out there. You know, I didn't come up with that name. I just Googled your name and that's what came up. And I just thought it was kind of interesting to talk about it. I know recently there's been a lot of talk in true crime not to give killers names because it kind of makes them scarier than what they really are. But honestly, all the killers I've ever researched, they're all terrifying. You know, you know, what do you think if you could go back in time, and do you think that this would just happen all over again? Or do you think that if you could go back knowing what you know now, if you would have changed things, done it differently so that, you know, you wouldn't have had to spend the last 10 years in prison?
See, it's a hard question because let's say God came down from heaven and told me, Jonathan, you can go back in time, but no matter what, you will be going to prison for a serial killing or a rampage killing or whatever they call me. No matter what, you will go to prison for that, but you can go back in time and redo it over. So if I can go back in time knowing that I will be labeled a serial killer, even though that's not what I am, and I will be labeled a purge killer, even though that makes zero sense. Honestly, I would go around probably killing child molesters or rapists or some shit. If I knew that I was going to spend the rest of my life in prison and be labeled something that I'm not, I might as well do the shit. Because no matter what, I'm going to be labeled the rest of my life for something I didn't do, like they said I did. Now, if God told me you can go back in time and not do it, obviously I would never do none of that shit because over the last 8 years, I've completely changed, you know, but it just depends on what type of chance I was given, you know, and I definitely don't expect you to condone violence. Every people is raised in different environments. The environment I was raised in Miami, Florida, in a part of the town called Overtown, which is mostly third world immigrants, Jamaicans, Haitians, Cubans, you know, people from countries that are really messed up. So I was raised around a lot of violence, a lot of drug dealing, a lot of starvation, a lot of poverty, a lot of, you know, things like that. So I grew up a very different way than a lot of other Americans grew up. So I act a different way. But like I said, over the last several years in prison, I've changed a lot. But like you said, when you look me up on Google, I'm still labeled a purge killer, which makes no sense to me. So no matter what I do, when people look me up, they automatically assume I'm a psychopath. And when people get to know me, they realize I'm not like that, but a label's a label.
So when you were committing the crimes, you think it was just like the heat of the moment thing? There was no plan in advance. You know what I mean? Like an actual serial killer would, you know, have.
Hell no. A serial killer needs a pattern, right? Like Ted Bundy, he killed women and raped them, or Jeffrey Dahmer, he liked to eat people, or, you know, like they have a pattern. I had no pattern. I was just committing armed robberies. If somebody gave up their money, I let them leave. But if they try to pull a gun, or if they refuse to give up their money, I would shoot them. Because at that time of my life, I was a 19-year-old boy. I had just got shot, just got robbed myself. My mom had just died, and I brought her back to life. And I was filled with complete rage. So, like I said, when I had a gun on you, if you gave it up, fine, you were allowed to leave. But anything besides giving it up resulted in me shooting you. And that's the mindset I was in as a 19-year-old boy or teenager or man, whatever you want to call me. As I got older, my mindset changed, of course. But at that time, that's my mindset. I was a fucked up individual.
I understand what you're saying. You know, you know, you say that you've changed. Is there a way, like in prison, that you could like if somebody like claims to be a changed person versus, they're just trying to project that they're a changed person. I mean, can you tell the difference in other people?
Yes, most definitely. Now, I've changed, but let's say that the judge asked me if I'm ready to be on the street yet. I would tell that judge no, because I've changed, but I'm not fully changed. I still have violent tendencies. I still have rage issues. I still have issues that I don't feel like I'm ready to be on the street for. I've changed a lot, but I haven't changed enough. I'm able to admit that. A lot of these men in prison, see, the prison system in America is all about money. There's no rehabilitation in prison. Like the state of Indiana.
Sorry to interrupt, but you kind of cut out there for a second.
What part?
I think you were in the middle of, right before you said can't be reformed, I think.
Okay, let me repeat the whole thing. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, so if a judge came to me right now and asked me if I'm ready to be on the street, I would tell that man no, because I'm only halfway ready. I still have rage issues. I still have violent tendencies. I don't feel like I'm ready to be free yet, even though I have life without parole, and 99% of the time I will never be allowed to be released. I'm still not ready to be released. And for the prisons in America, it's not about reformatory. These prison systems are not trying to reform inmates. All it is about keeping you calm while you're incarcerated and making money off you. They don't care about changing you, because you got to think about this. They make like $3 off of every inmate that's locked up a day. So why would they want to change you? If you're going to continuously get locked up, the government is continuously making money off of you. They don't care about reforming you or changing you. They care about making money off you. In the state of Indiana, there was no program to reform you or nothing like that. They locked you up in solitary confinement, and almost every prison, even general population, is 22-hour lockdown a day. And they shut down all the mental health asylums in Indiana. So all the crazy people are locked up. This place is like a mental asylum. And everybody that goes home comes right back. And the state of Indiana makes plenty of money off of us. And it's like that in most of these states.
You say it's kind of like a mental asylum. Have you been like talking to a doctor? Have you gotten evaluated, gotten a diagnosis or anything like that?
I've talked to several doctors, and I've been to a mental asylum 2 times while I was in Florida. I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, PCS disorder, multiple personality disorder, insomnia. That's just things off the top of my head. I don't know. I can't remember what else. I've been diagnosed with a lot of things, but like I said, the court system don't care about that shit. Even when I was trying to, like going to trial and fight my case, they didn't care about no mental health disorders. All they care about is what you did and how much money they're going to make off you when you get incarcerated.
When we talked before, you mentioned that you met, what's his name, Richard Allen, the bridge guy.
Delphi killer. Delphi killer.
What's that?
The Delphi killer.
Yep. How did you meet him?
I was locked up in the state secure house unit for stabbing another inmate. And he was locked up back there basically on protective custody. So we were around each other, because in the state secure housing unit, they mix violent inmates with protective custody inmates and, things like that. So he was back there, and honestly, he's one of the people I'm talking about that's a mental health patient. He's not right in his mind at all.
Do you, if you know, I actually had somebody on my show several months ago, and he suggested the man was not guilty, that he had been kept in solitary confinement too long and kind of lost his mind. And, you know, I don't know. He made a pretty good argument for the possibility that maybe the guy was, you know, doing the false confession thing. But, you know, I don't know. I mean, you can kind of see the guy, or you can hear the guy's voice. You could see the blurry photo, and it's kind of hard to imagine anyone else did it. I don't know, what did you kind of what did you think about him, or did he talk about his crimes or anything like that?
Well, my first interaction with him, he told me to my face that he did it, and he started describing it, and I didn't want to hear it, so I spit on him, and he backed away from me and stopped talking. And there was no police around. He had no reason for admitting his crime to me. Honestly, I feel like in his mind, he feels so guilty that he can't stop admitting it to people because it's messing with his mind. Because you got to think, he's not a criminal. He's never really did any crimes his whole life. So for a regular man to do something so heinous, it eats away at his mind and drives him insane. Also, I know his voice very clearly. And the voice on that video with him on the bridge is his voice 100%. Also, I watched him try to kill himself because it's eating at his brain so bad. Now, I don't know if he 100% did those acts, but I'm 100% positive that he was there for those acts. So he might have had an accomplice, but I know he was there for sure because his voice on that video was the same voice. But he told me he did it and tried to start describing it, and I spit on him because I didn't want to hear that shit. It's nasty. I don't respect sex offenders, and I don't want nothing to do with them. And a bunch of my people spit on him as well. And when he tried to kill himself, they allowed him not to go out of his cell anymore because they didn't want him to keep trying to kill himself. I don't believe that solitary confinement has anything to do with his mental problems. I believe that his crime itself has something to do with his mental problems, because once you do something so bad, kill people, cover yourself with somebody else's blood, especially if it's a sex offense, rape and molest and do shit like that, that messes with you. You know, for somebody that hasn't killed anybody, for somebody that hasn't raped anybody, molested anybody, things like that, they can't understand. For me, I've killed close to a dozen men, so I know the effects it has on my mind. So for somebody that has never experienced that, it's hard for somebody to understand what's going on in a person's mind. So I don't believe it had anything to do with solitary confinement. I think it had something to do with this crime itself that messed with his mind.
Did he mention anybody else was there at any time when he was? No. Because I think the crime actually was committed on the part of the property of this other person who was supposedly a suspect, but he died, and then they never properly investigated it. I don't think there was an actual sex crime that took place in Delphi.
There was no rape or anything like that, but he stripped them little girls, put them in lewd poses, and dressed them up in each other's clothes.
That is true.
He might not have touched them. He might not have touched them or raped them, but that's the sex crime. You're not going to strip 11 and 12-year-old girls and put them in a lewd position. You know, and the man you're talking about, it was on his property. He was a suspected domestic abuser, and he died before they could really do research on him. But he fully cooperated with the police. So, you know, of course he's dead, so nobody can confirm or deny. But honestly, I don't think it had anything to do with him. on the video, I watched that man tell them little girls go down that hill, and them little girls ended up naked and loose poses and dead. So I honestly think that was just all him.
Do you know?
But that's me. I've met this man. I've talked to this man. I've heard his story. So that's my opinion. All the rest of these people across the country never have met this man, never have heard him talk, never have heard of his story. So for them to judge him, that's kind of irrelevant to me.
How did the rest of the prison population treat him? Did he have friends?
No. The rest of the population treated him like the sex offender and murderer that, he was accused of. Especially once he started admitting it to everybody. Some people thought he was innocent, but once he started admitting it to everybody he could talk to, that went out the window.
So, I don't know how much time we've got left. Andrew mentioned that there might not be that much time on here, but I would like to talk about prison in general while we can. Like, what is it like in prison compared to like what you see on TV? You mentioned that there's 22 hours a day where you don't get to do anything. What do you do during that time? I mean, what's your normal day like?
Well, every state has a different prison system. So, like for instance, in California, they get free phone calls. In our state, they charge us $5 or $6 a phone call. So, I mean, every system has a different system. In the state of Indiana, almost every prison is 21 and 22-hour lockdown. You're locked in your cell. Mostly what people do is just do drugs. That's what the majority of the prison population do. They smoke fentanyl and K2 chemicals, and they snort meth, and they drink alcohol. That's what the majority of the population do to keep themselves from going crazy, because if you've got 20 years in prison and you're locked in a room the size of a closet for 22 years straight, when you get out, you're going to be fucking nuts. And I don't understand why they don't realize that you can't lock somebody in a closet for 5 years straight and think they're going to get out of prison and be reformed and be good. That don't even make sense. But that's how this state is. In this state, all the mental asylums were closed, so all the crazy people get locked up. And all the regular criminals get locked up. And they're locked up in a cell for 21 to 22 hours a day. If you're a maximum security. If you're in low security, it's different. But I'm only speaking on maximum security because that's where I'm at. What I do is I watch TV, I read books, I study.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Hey, Andrew.
Yeah.
Is it cool if I call back?
So I don't I don't have any more money left on here, but if we can do something like in like a week on your dime.
I'll call back. Yeah, I'll call back in my money.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. I'll be here.
All right. I'll finish the sentence. I'm about to call right back.
All right.
All right. Talk to you in a second.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
Thank
Andrew.
you for using GTL.
Hey, give me one. Well, when he calls back, I got to go blow my nose because I'm like snotting everywhere.
Yeah, I was just gonna tell you to say hi to everybody. Molly and Jen and Olga, and a couple other people have been leaving comments in the chat, and I know you haven't really talked much, but Andrew's not feeling good, guys. But go check out his content on the Unforbidden Truth podcast, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. All right. So do you guys have any questions for our guest today? He's supposed to be calling back.
Oh, here he is. 1 second. Why is it not working? Are you there?
I'm here, but I don't hear anybody else.
That's where he'll call right back. What I'll do is I'll get him on the phone instead of merging before I pick up, and then I'll accept it after, or I'll merge it after he's on the phone, because maybe that's what messed it up.
Okay.
Normally that works when I just click over, and then I'll accept it when it's on the three-way call. But he'll call right back. Hopefully, he should.
Okay. So the guest we had tonight was Jonathan Cruz. He is a spree killer who is known as the Purge Killer, based off of the movies, and he talked about that a little bit. He said that he never called himself that. He watched the movies, but he didn't know why they called him that.
Okay, are we here?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
Okay, yeah, that works better.
All right, so back to what I was saying. Most people in this state just do drugs and alcohol. That's the majority. I myself, I don't really do drugs. Sometimes I drink, but the majority of my time, I hustle to make money. I read books. I watch TV, and I just talk on the phone. Really, there's not too much to do. You're locked in a cell the size of a closet all day.
What is the last book that you read?
Well, the book I'm reading right now is called A History of God by Karen Armstrong. But the last book I read was Prince by Machiavelli.
So, we talked a little bit about how you don't see any type of, like, they don't intend for anybody to go to prison and then, find a way to be a better person when they get out. Have you met anyone that you actually legitimately feel that was most likely in prison by mistake? Like they weren't actually guilty of the crimes? And if you have, does prison make them into a bad guy?
That's the best part about it is I've seen people come to prison that were not built for prison at all. They weren't violent. They weren't criminals. Like they just did something for the moment. They ended them up in maximum security prison. And when they first come to prison, they're prey for the predators. But after years of being prey, they become predators themselves. And they end up becoming murderers and rapists and drug users. And by the time they come home, they're the predators. They're out there robbing and killing and doing drugs and shit, So, yes, I have seen that plenty of times. Prison, if you don't come to prison a monster, the majority of the time you will leave a monster.
Have you ever met anybody that you felt like had actually became a better person after being in prison for a long period of time? I know you don't see it happening often, but is it ever possible that somebody could actually change for the better in prison?
I would say, off the top of my head, I can't name anybody, but maybe like less than 15 people in the last several years I've been locked up. It's very, very rare.
So I hear all the background noise. Is that just people like talking, or are they arguing about stuff, or
everything and above? I got a fan on in my background. There's people arguing, people talking, people high, people drunk, all type of nonsense. So
are you in like the general population, or you in a different? I don't really know how the prison system works, to be honest.
right now I'm in solitary confinement because I sent the gang hit and then I talked to the police officer. So I'm in solitary confinement right now, working myself back to the population.
So is it better in general population then, or do you like it?
Hell yeah. You can order, I mean, in solitary confinement, we're not allowed to order commissary anymore or nothing like that. So the general population, like I said, you can come out your cell 2 hours a day, up to 3 hours maybe. If you're lucky, you can order, you know, like real food and commissary and all that type of shit. But solitary confinement, you can't do anything like that. The only thing in solitary confinement is drugs. That's it.
Let's see. Guys, what kind of questions do you have for Jonathan? I think I saw a couple. We've got several people in the chat. Jonathan, there's Olga, Molly, Jen, and I don't know who else. But if you guys have any questions, you can shoot them in the chat, and I can try to ask. There's a couple comments about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and the Shawshank institutionalization kind of thing. I mean, did you watch prison movies before you went to prison? I mean, is it like, can you expect prison to be like it is in the movies, or is it just way different than?
I mean, to a certain extent, yeah. I got locked up in Florida when I was 14. I did 4 years. Got out when I was 18. And the Florida penitentiary is way different compared to the Indiana penitentiary. Like, it's the whole setup. When it comes even to the correctional officers, this thing comes different. I would rather be locked up in Florida than in Indiana. But I mean, it just all depends on what state you get locked up in. But yeah, a lot of the movies you see are based off of real life experiences in prison. So I mean, it's just a state you're locked up in, honestly, and what security level you're locked up in. Because, for instance, I'm locked up on multiple murders and armed robberies charges, so I can't go to a lower risk facility. So, like, a lower risk facility is way different than a maximum risk facility. So, like I said, it all depends on what state you're locked up in and what your crime is.
How hard is it to actually move from one prison to another?
Well, I have stabbed two Aryan Brotherhood members since I've been in prison. And every time I stab somebody, they move me to a new prison. So if you want to move, all you got to do is stab somebody.
that doesn't sound like something good. You know,
well, to a regular person like you, no, it doesn't. But I'm a gang member and I'm labeled a crazy person, so it's not too out of the normal for me. I would prefer not to do that. If I had a choice, honestly, I would just go around preaching peace, eating food, working out, and making money. I don't want violence anymore. I've been violent my whole entire life since I was like 11 years old, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the gang lifestyle. I'm tired of the gangster lifestyle. I'm tired of violence. I'm done with it. I literally did everything I can do when it comes to a gangster lifestyle. I've sold dope. I've robbed. I've killed. I've rose through the ranks of gangs. I did everything. I faced lethal injection and didn't snitch on nobody. I have maxed out when it came to that lifestyle, and I'm tired of it. But I'm stuck in it now, so I don't know. I'm just going with the flow, I guess.
So is prison as violent as it is in the movies? Like,
Yeah.
like all the time violent like that, or like just comes in like bursts or something? You know what I mean?
Well, you gotta think, most of these prisoners are running around hopped up off methamphetamine. So running around up on meth for 3 days with a knife makes you violent by itself. So I would say, yeah, it's pretty violent.
Have you been in any like major lockdowns where, you know, guards have been taken hostage or anything?
Yes.
What is
This
that
one right
like
here.
as an inmate? Like, obviously, I don't think everyone wants to participate in those kinds of things, but I mean, what happens when this happens? Are people basically forced to participate?
I was 6 years ago at this prison, because I just came back to this prison, but 6 years ago I was at this prison, and I sold this guy some meth, and he moved to another range. Well, about 3 hours later, I heard that he got out of his handcuffs on the way to the shower, pulled a knife out, and took this girl hostage and dragged her down the range and let everybody molest her and held her hostage for like an hour for no apparent reason because he was high for the meth I gave him. And he let her go. She didn't get harmed or nothing like that except for the molestation she experienced and the terror from having a knife to her throat. But it's just random. A lot of these guys are so high that they just do random violent things for no apparent reason. But also, on the flip side, you got men like me that don't do drugs, but when we do something violent, we plan it out and execute it to perfection. So, I mean, it just all depends. You might have some real military mindset type individuals that plan out assassinations or extortions or robberies or whatever it is. But you also got a bunch of people that are hyped up on drugs that just do a bunch of random craziness. So that's why some of these prisons are violent, because you'll never know what you're going to experience.
So if you had like a friend who had a kid, or a cousin or somebody who's younger and they're in their early 20s, late teens, somewhere around there, and they're like headed down the path that you've gone down, would you try to like say, hey, you probably shouldn't do that, here's why, or what would you do? I from what I gather from you, it sounds like when you were that young, nobody would have been able to change your mind about whatever it is you were probably about to do. You just had to go through that. But do you think there could have been any advice that would help prevent somebody from going down this path? Nobody wants to go to prison, obviously, and nobody wants to spend 22 hours a day in a cell. And even you've said, you're just kind of done with the violence. When you're young, everything's different. I think as you get older, life around you kind of changes, and I don't know. I'm just kind of curious, like how you could think about this differently now that you've gone through everything, and could that help somebody else and help them avoid it?
Right. So Andrew has controlled some of my social media in the past, so he can tell you that I have tried to put people on the right path that were younger than me. And the first thing they said to me was, how are you going to tell me to not be criminal and be peaceful when you are who you are? That's the answer I get every time I try to preach peace or preach non-criminality things, is they say, how are you going to tell me that when you're labeled a rampage killer and a drug dealer and a high-ranking gang member? How are you going to preach peace to me and tell me to go get a job and not commit crimes and do that? They always throw up my past in my face. Honestly, I will call myself a hypocrite, because I will tell all these 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds that come to prison, I will give them a Bible and try to teach them how to be on a righteous path. But I find myself not falling away too fast. So I definitely try to preach to the younger generation not to do what I do and not to make the mistakes that I make. But they act like I acted when I was 19.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 19, I was a high-ranking gang member. I had a plug with the Sinaloa cartel. I had an arsenal of weapons. I had damn near $100,000 in my pocket, a car. There was nothing that could stop me from doing what I wanted to do. And some of these people that are youngsters out there nowadays, they feel the same way. They got Dracos and Glocks with switch suspensions and money and drugs and all the females. All the females love it. They love that gangster lifestyle. Even some of these older European women that are rich and never even experienced criminals, they like gangsters. So once a man knows that women love that gangster stuff, they want to be involved in that because that's going to get them all the females and all the money and all the recognition and popularity and clout. So it's hard to tell somebody that knows that not to do that because that's what America wants nowadays. You got female rappers like Glorilla and Sexy Red and all these young women. They like that shit. So it's kind of hard for young males to listen nowadays. Now, once they get 50 years in prison, then they're going to be like, oh, I should have listened to you.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to listen now, just like I wouldn't listen back then. There was nothing that could tell me nothing. My mom, she tried to tell me every day. I didn't listen to her, you know. So I definitely try to preach peace and to preach righteousness and to preach living in a way that won't allow them to go to prison. But as soon as they see who I am and what I was doing at their age, they don't listen to me.
Yeah. You know, when you talk about women and how they like these gangsters and these violent people, the first name that comes to my mind is Wade Wilson. Have you heard of him? He's some, I think, gangster guy that has like this like massive like following of women. He's got face tattoos and stuff, and I haven't done a ton of research on him. I've talked about him a couple times, but there are like channels dedicated to just talking about this guy. You know, he's got the same name as Deadpool, you know, and he's always like, there's always something going on about him, but he like killed 2 women. I think he ran over one of them and used her car to go kill the other one or something. But yeah, I feel like I should look up. There's a channel called Uber Streets, and they talk about this guy all the time and all the crazy stuff that he's doing while in prison. But I can't imagine why any woman would want a guy like that, especially after he killed a woman. You know, and it's like they think he changed or something.
I never understood why women love men that abuse them, degrade them, kill them. I never understood that. I only kill men, not boys, not old men, but men around my age or a little bit older than me. I kill men that have a chance to fight back, or, you know, like, I never harmed women or nothing like that. Even when I was accused, on my case, I was accused of kidnapping an ex-girlfriend, and they dropped the charges because they realized she was lying, and the camera footage proved that she was lying. And she still looks me up and writes me to this day and tells me she loves me and tells me that the detectives lied and all that type of shit. So I never really understood why women love men that abuse them and degrade them and, like you said, kill them. I never understood that. Now, for women to love a man that is a alpha male, that, you know, is stronger than most other males, and, you know, that's a ruler, I understand that. But what you're saying, I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, it's bizarre to me. But do you get like lots of letters from like women? Do people like look you up and just write you all the time, or?
I've had people from Africa, Brazil, New Zealand, Great Britain, really all over the world right now. I've never been single since I've been to prison. Right now I'm engaged. But even in prison, I've messed with several female correctional officers. That's one thing I've never lacked. Even before prison, I've never lacked female companionship. Well, that's one blessing from God that I've never had a problem with.
So do they get to come visit you then? Or because I know every prison's different. I know some prisons allow people to have visitations in private rooms or whatever. But I think there's one in like Dodge Correctional. That one, I don't believe they allow those kinds of contact with the inmates. So I'm just a little.
They're called conjugal visits, and I believe only like 6 states in this country allow them. Indiana's not one of them. So a conjugal visit is where once you're legally married, your wife and you can go into a room for a day or a weekend, and y'all can do whatever y'all want to do. Have sex, eat, whatever y'all want to do. This state don't allow that, which sucks, because I would love to have several little kids running around out there. I only got a daughter out there right now, but I would love several more. But this state don't allow that. They allow regular visits, but not conjugal visits.
Yeah. So what's a regular visit like? Is it like what we see in the movies behind the glass with the phones, or?
No, it's like in-person visits. So I can hold her hand, I can kiss her, hug her, but besides that, that's it. It's in person. You know, some prisons you're allowed to eat dinner, like they make a real dinner, like you're going on a date and stuff like that. Some prison, which is called Michigan City State Prison, Indiana State Prison. Like you can pay the guards to sneak off and do whatever you want to do, but they're shutting that prison down. So it's just like in-person visits. It's not behind glass though.
So speaking of guards that get paid off, like how often do you see guards get like fired for getting caught doing these things? You know, is it
like every 3 days?
Jeez. I don't know. I don't think I could be a prison guard. I'd be too scared, number one, and I don't know. I would probably get. I don't know. I'd probably get taken hostage or something, because I wouldn't
Well,
I wouldn't. I don't think I would be able to get paid off anyway.
I mean, you got to think, a lot of these guards get paid like $20 an hour to come put their life in danger. That's not worth it. So when an inmate like me offers them $1,000 to bring in a pack of paper that's sprayed with dope, that's all they got to do is bring in some paper for $1,000. They jump on that quick, because they're making their whole salary in one day, and all they got to do is bring in some paper. So they're quick to hop on that. And a lot of the females, honestly, they come to prisons because they're not getting a lot of attention from males on the street. So they come to prison and see a bunch of body-built, hockey prisoners covered in tattoos that are fiending to give a woman attention. They like that. They come to prison. Some of them come to prison just to get male attention. And some of them come to prison to make money. Some of them come to prison just to do their job. But majority of them, it's easy to turn because they're not getting paid a lot to put their life in danger.
So, do you know very many big name people in prison? People who are infamous, like in the true crime community, or I don't know who you know, but I know we talked about Richard Allen, but is there other people that you've met over the years?
The crazy thing is, in this state, I'm one of the most infamous people locked up, which kind of blew my mind because I didn't know that until I got locked up. There's only like 4 or 5 other men that's really infamous throughout the country, and they're all weirdos. But I know of them. The Delphi killer is no longer locked up in the state, though. He's in Oklahoma. They got some dude named the Kokomo Slayer. He's a weirdo. Got a couple friends that have names for themselves, but I honestly don't want to miss them over this recorded phone call.
Right. A lot of people.
Yeah, I know some, but there's not too. Huh?
A lot of people on my channel like to talk about Chris Watts. He murdered his family. And recently we talked about how he's being exploited by like people in prison to make him write letters to people and things like that. Is that stuff actually happen? I haven't been able to confirm that anybody would be like, somehow like selling this guy's underwear or something. I don't know. I can't think of any good details to explain what I'm talking about right at the moment. But it was weird sounding. They would take his mail supposedly and sell stuff of his to.
I did that.
You've done that? That's crazy. It just seems It seems so odd that that's actually like some sort of currency. I don't know. I used to think that people in prison, they should be in prison, but then they're like, people in prison are like, they got this whole different like world, and it's kind of hard to understand. I guess is the best way I could say it.
Well, that's not on us. That's on the true crime community because they like buying things like that. For instance, I sell drawings I make. I sell signatures. I sell my ID card. I sell, things like that. So anything that we know makes money on the streets, we're going to sell. So this person you're talking about, if they know they can sell his letters and his underwear or whatever else, they're going to take that from him and sell it because we're locked up in prison. Most people don't have family or girlfriends. If they don't know how to sell drugs, they want money. So if, for instance, the Delphi killer, I know anything with his name on it is going to make money. So, for instance, I took his mail and sold it because I know it's going to make money. And mostly I sell drugs, honestly, but anything I know is going to make money, I'm a hustler. I'm going to make money. I want to see my bank account reach $1 million by the age of 40. So, in prison, anything that makes money, somebody's going to take advantage of that. I don't know the individual you're talking about, but if his case is famous, then yeah, he's going to be preyed upon. Because it sounds like he's not a predator himself. He's not an alpha male, and somebody's taking his things. Me, I sell my own shit, and I take other people's things. Because nobody's going to pull up on me with a knife and get away with it. But this individual you're talking about, if they're taking his underwear and mail, then yeah, he's prey. He's not a predator.
Yeah, I think the most bizarre part of that is that who's buying this stuff? Who would want that? And it's kind of scary to think about that. There's people out there crazy enough to ask for somebody's underwear or other things. I don't know what else. Even commissary receipts. Like I wouldn't I wouldn't want to buy anything like that. Art, maybe if it's good. But
You have 1 minute remaining.
You want me to call back?
Actually, I think I probably got to get going. It's 7:00 here, but Andrew, we can definitely plan another live, and we can talk about other things, next time.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, Jonathan, I'll be in touch with you through your girl, and yeah, thanks for calling tonight. I appreciate it.
It ain't nothing. Just let me know, bro.
Hey, it was good talking to
Okay.
you. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I think the people listening enjoyed it as well.
All right. Well, y'all just let me know whenever y'all want to talk. I'll be here.
All right, sounds good.
All right, keep your head up, okay?
Yeah, y'all have a good night. Be safe.
You too.
All right, later.
Later.
Thank you for using GTL.
All right. When we get off the phone, I'll email this recording to you too.
Okay. Well, we're still live here. Andrew, is there anything you wanted to add? I know you didn't talk much. How did I do? I've never really interviewed somebody before.
Yeah, you did good. You did good. I had it on mute the whole time because I was like sniffling the whole time. But yeah, it was good. The only thing I'll really say is like I have a 2-part, or is it 2-part or 3-part? I forget now, but I have a 2 or 3-part interview with Jonathan Cruz on YouTube, and we talk about his life from childhood, the crimes, like teenage years, criminal activity, up until present time as of like 2 years ago. So if anybody wants to listen to that and learn about his case more in depth, they can just search Jailhouse Interview with Jonathan Cruz, like part 1, part 2, part 3, and they can binge that if they want. And other interviews for that matter too, with other murderers and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think he's an interesting person. I at least like that he entertains the idea that he doesn't have to be a violent person, even if that's not true. It still, like, I don't know. I don't want to promote violence at all. I don't want to tell him, hey, that's, understandable when he's talking about violence and stuff. But I don't know. He sounds like he would change if he could, and that's good to hear, I think.
Right. Yeah. One thing that's new is he said he's killed over a dozen people, and I'm like, I was thinking to myself, that's new. He's never told me that, but probably because he was a little drunk, he was a little loose with his words, I guess.
That kind of blows my mind too, that he can be in prison drinking wine. I talked to somebody who was really big on prison reform, and I think I should reach out to him again and get some information on that, because it's really disheartening to hear what prison is like, and these people are ending up worse off than before. Even if they're killers, they're worse off being in prison, and it just sort of perpetuates more violence and crime. And I don't know. I would like to hear some of the prison reform stuff anyway, at least after I've thought about it a lot.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy because you can go to prison with a 2-year sentence and end up with a life or death sentence, because you get involved with the wrong crowd, or you get forced into doing a hit or something like that. I mean, I've talked to many guys. Like I talked to one guy that got into some drug debt in prison. He had like a 5-year sentence for like GTA and assault or something like that. He ended up having to kill somebody to get out of his drug debt. And now he's going to die in prison. It's like, crazy, mind blowing.
Yeah. I just can't think of any payout that would be worth any kind of crime. For me, like $1,000, I wouldn't want to risk, getting $1,000 and losing my yearly salary. I mean, that's how I think normal people think. But I don't know. It sounds like it's a lot like the movies, and it might be even worse.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely like a different world for crime and criminals in prison. Like there's like a whole community in prisons. People think it's like just like in the movies, but I've seen like video footage and like photos of cells and all sorts of shit, and it's just like, man, it's crazy. Like they have their own lingo in there, they have their own words, they have their own language to where like guards can't catch on and stuff. It's like miraculous, really, how prison is. Like you and I, like people like you and I would not know what to do in there. We'd have to become accustomed to their violent lifestyle or whatever to even make it, especially in a prison like he's in, like it's pretty scary.
Which prison was he in again? I know he's in Indiana.
Indiana Reformatory. I think it's in Pendleton. It's maximum security, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. All right, Andrew. Thanks for hanging out and bringing Jonathan onto my channel so that there was several people here, and I think they seem to enjoy the video or the interview.
Awesome. Well, I was gonna say, can you send me your email again so I don't have to scroll through all our text messages? And I was gonna say, Naveed Hawk has been bugging me. I totally forgot that I told him that we were gonna set up a call sometime so he can introduce himself to you. And he's like, when can I do this with this guy? Like, I'm very excited. I'm interested. Blah blah blah. So I'm like, so whenever I get better and whenever I start this new job, I'll figure out my schedule and then I'll set something up with him that I can get Jonathan back on the phone again too.
Okay, sounds great. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the live stream today. I know I've been gone for the last month or so. I've been taking care of personal stuff, but I do expect to have more content coming out more regularly again in the near future. Hopefully, we'll have more live streams like this one. So make sure if you haven't subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the like button and go check out Andrew's YouTube channel. I'll set the links in the description. I don't think they're in there yet. But it was great, guys. As always, stay kind, be vigilant, and always question the truth. I'll catch you in the next video.